that makes you want to get up. Otherwise, I come back to this natural conclusion of what's the point? So again, maybe I'm taking the easy way out at this point, but those are back to your question. What keeps me up at night? That's probably more along the lines of what keeps me up at night is those mental gymnastics of, what's the right way to think about this, and what's the best way to communicate it in a manner that is not a turnoff for others, but it's that living and functioning in a way that serves to inspire, or at least raise question where somebody says, what's that guy doing? What makes him different? And, hopefully somebody asks. And at that point we can have something, a more substantive conversation on faith. And shoot, I don't know everything. I'm still trying to figure out, and certainly will until I die. So all I can do is help other people on the journey, and they can help me out as well.
Yeah. And at the core, this is Legacy Cast. And, that at the core, that's what a legacy is just, inspiring other people to think and go, So, when you're starting your businesses, what particular hurdles did you run into as far as starting it and getting it going?
I just say it was time. I mean, it really comes down to time and focus. I tend to certainly bite off a little bit more than I can chew. Though I also get brought in oftentimes to help businesses that are struggles. So I've only had a couple businesses I've started from scratch. Most others are somebody that had the wherewithal to say, hey, I'm missing a piece or set of pieces, and I solved that particular need and took, something that was small with potential and put us on the right path to become something that's larger. So the struggles with those still comes down to, hiring the right people. So even if you develop the right processes, who are the people that are going to execute at it? And so typically I've seen that manifest at scale, medium-sized businesses that start hitting that like 50-person number. And then again, when you hit that 150-person number, you start getting to these points where your internal makeup, or dare I say culture, starts to make less sense. You end up with a situation of where, say you were a highly skilled workforce at 35 employees. As you hire more and more, especially within specialty skill sets, it's impossible to maintain that high skill level across there. You can't have 150 people and 100% of them be high skilled. I mean, it's the same thing. You look at Google, the entire company, while obviously has a lot of smart people, it's still tiered. There's still tiers of skill level. And I think a lot of the same percentages work down to smaller businesses. And so the biggest challenge is, how do you, whether it's typically if it's a product, it has to do with how you message and sell it. And if it's a service, it's how you execute on it. How do you mitigate against what is a perceived talent drop off over time, while still, again, executing at a quick pace that allows you to go and generate revenue?
So was that solution kind of obvious to you, or did you kind of stumble on that over time?
Kind of stumble on it. I still have challenges getting around it. I was thinking, one company I was a part of a number of years ago, we had this mantra. The actual tagline was, "We're smarter than you." And I saw that story. It was true for probably the first 50 employees. I mean, we hands down were. But the problem is we couldn't, you bring in new clients and we have to execute and, build stuff. And the next 50 people can't be smarter than you. The next 50 people, in order to properly build a business that is actually profitable, have to be kind of this junior mentality. So it comes back to, again, some of these themes about delegation and force multiplying is you have to have a baseline and clear purpose and direction. And then that allows you to develop people into certain, into certain roles that can execute, again, at scale at the lower levels. I still don't know what the actual solution is. I don't think anybody does. It's more of a matter of constantly getting a pulse and figuring out, how do we hire the 51st person versus the 80th and keep on going. And some of that has to do with, understanding what success is for those individuals. And some of them stay and some of them go, but the goal is to obviously keep as many people as possible so that you're not having to onboard people constantly.
So what compelled you to start a nonprofit with Operation Supply Drop?
So I joined. So it was actually founded by another gentleman in 2010. I came on about 2013 after they tracked me down. My family had been supporting the organization as donors. And I guess after a bit of time, they reached out and said, "Hey, we want to do something for you, for our family." I said, "No, and you don't need to do anything for us. Why don't you let me be basically your volunteer chief marketing officer for a while?" And so at that point, it was basically a garage, charity, if you will, sending these video game care packages downrange. I liked the underlying concept, but I saw the future value of, wait a second, we're developing a relationship with these service members at a very early on point with something extremely relevant. And in the 2013-2014 timeframe, what was fascinating is a lot of these men and women, start redeploying, transitioning out, and we get all these emails and phone calls. "Hey, I need help." Not a single follow-up question I had anything with video games. It was all, again, your typical transition stuff, like I need to make friends, I need to find a job, I need to find resources. And kind of, again, made what I thought was a safe bet and said, you know what, let's start some chapters, because I thought it was odd. Why are they calling us and not the other 70,000 veteran nonprofits, many of which we work with in a number of communities? And it came down to, said, well, you get us. And you get us during active duty, and they wanted us to figure out how to have something in transition. And so really, at that point, I got asked to be the CEO and join the board. And I could say the rest is history, but really what we've been building is that initial program of these video game care packages that continue to grow. I mean, we're sending them to 6,000 to 12,000 troops a month. We work with dozens of USOs and MWRs and rec centers all over the world, but we have this complementary chapter system with, again, this social, professional, and servant leadership focus, to where it kind of reaches back into the active duty side. So oftentimes, yes, the first point of contact with OSD is while you're deployed, or even you might be here in CONUS, on installation, working with us somewhere, and you're working with people on the other side of the gap, which is absolutely fantastic, because it allows us to have that complete ecosystem where people are reaching back to help others across.
So is there some other kind of profession that you've toyed with wanting to do that you haven't done yet?
Absolutely. So I still love being in the tech space. That's something where my itch is constantly scratched. I just like solving those type of problems. I've had the pleasure of working with clients like Disney. I've gotten to work on smart weapon systems and unmanned vehicles with companies like Northrop Grumman, cyber operations, just because it's fun. So that's really what it kind of comes down to. And it's the statement I made earlier, and I encourage everyone to think about this, because I'm very confident that many people listening are often told, "Hey, you wear a lot of hats." And I think there's an introspective moment there, which is, A, do you wear a lot of hats? And B, should you be wearing a lot of hats? And there's kind of two paths on the should you be. Number one, well, I can wear the same hat and do a whole bunch of different things, and that forces me to connect them all. So even though I have all these seemingly disparate roles, at the end of the day, it's because I like problem solving, process, and people, and bringing those things together. And it doesn't matter where. But then to others, it might be, we have this challenge, I think, is especially humans in 2018 here, to try to bite off more than we can chew, to focus on too many different things. And perhaps you need to ultra focus on one or two and drop the other 8 and just go full bore on them. Jump off the cliff and build the parachute as you're falling. But that's really, that's with me, is it's just trying to figure out how to just help other people and have some fun and do some cool stuff along the way. That's my personal part, is I want to build cool things and meet cool people, which seems like a pretty simple way to look each day.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to wind out our time here this morning. Now, people need to get a hold of you, Glenn. So what are some good contact methods that you can put out there? Emails, phone numbers, whatever.
Absolutely. So the best one with me is LinkedIn. You can look me up, Glenn D. Banton. That's B as in boy, Anton on LinkedIn. Send me a message. Feel free to connect with me. If you wouldn't mind, if you heard it on here, just drop me a message. Happy to share additional wisdom. And then certainly go check out OSD at weareosd.org. Other than that, I mean, hopefully everybody can capture it. Like I really like to help others wherever I can. And so whether it's myself directly or opening up my network, again, we're here to connect. That's what this life is about. And certainly appreciate the opportunity to share this message with you as well as your audience.
I appreciate your time here, Glenn. And I know you're a busy guy. So like I say, with everyone that comes on the program, I'll see you around the bend, my friend.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. You've been listening to Legacy Cast. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to come back next time as we speak with more top influencers, industry experts, and business owners from around the world.